You guys asked for spoilers and we have got them. We're going to spoil the shit out of Scream and Fresh. So if you have not seen these movies yet, turn away
right now.
Please come back eventually. We're always going to be here. We're not going anywhere, but we're going to talk about a couple of movies that you guys have asked that we delve into a little bit more, starting with Scream. This is new Scream, 2022 Scream. So who are the killer/killers, Alonso?
Hello, Sydney. It's an honor.
This is it's Scream 5 technically, but it's just Scream. It's now streaming on Paramount Plus. The killers are Richie, played by Jack Quaid, and Amber, played by Mikey Madison. And I have to say, I didn't see it all coming, although I did suspect Mikey because she just gave off an air,
I thought it was Courtney Cox for a long time because I thought she knows all the lore and she needs fodder for a new book.
But she's not in town when the first attempted murder happens.
Is she not?
No, she's like doing her TV show in New York, and then she comes back to Woodsboro.
That's true.
When it's clear there's another copycat killer on them.
But since we know that there can be more than one killer,
this is true. She
as
could
we
have been,
saw in the first one and here.
Yes, it could have been a collab. Absolutely.
Right.
So I enjoyed this movie. I didn't get to review it with you before because I hadn't seen it yet, but I finally got to catch up with it now that it's streaming. I don't obsess about these movies when I'm not watching them, but while I'm watching them, I do enjoy the whodunit aspect. I enjoy the meta commentary aspect, and I got all that from this, and some good scares too. I thought this movie was smart about the way it talked about a movie like this one in terms of what audiences expect from it and what the pitfalls of coming back to a franchise can be and all of that stuff. I thought it was handled really well.
I thought so too. And it was smart about having its cake and eating it too, in terms of it is making fun of how intensely people feel about their fandom while also delivering what the fans want. From their franchise, from their fandom. They're kind of like they're totally both siding it in a way that is clever and fun. And I didn't think annoying. That kind of thing would ordinarily annoy the crap out of me. But I'm like, good for you, movie. You pulled it off.
Yeah, it is a delicate balance where you're sort of calling out toxic fan culture and also like, here are your yummies fan culture.
And there are so many like characters named Wes and Carpenter. There's so many callbacks to Scream, and starting with the phone call with Jenna Ortega in the kitchen. I mean, there's so much that is what we considered a retread, a rehash, but they do it in a way that it inspects it and analyzes it and breathes new life into it.
And they call it a requel in the movie, right? I had heard reboot-quel before, but never requel.
Legacy-quel?
That's also thrown around. But yeah, for all the pitfalls inherent in that genre, whatever you want to call it, I thought they skimmed over pretty well, and they introduced some really great new characters. Like Melissa Barrera for me was one of the highlights of In the Heights. So I think she's terrific as somebody who's going to be sort of possibly assuming the mantle here, and then the fact that Jack Quaid looks so much like his dad at particular angles. That was just bananas.
I also found it surprisingly moving because you have Courtney Cox and David Arquette reuniting here, given that they fell in love making these movies originally, and now they're not together, and the characters are not together in the movie. And so that adds an unexpected level of poignancy to what would ordinarily just be like a fun, zippy, wild slasher flick.
And you can tell David Arquette signed the Harrison Ford contract of like, I will come back one more time, but you're going to kill me. Although, as we know from this movie, you could come back on video or as a ghost or who knows what. So, you're never, ever entirely done with Scream unless you really want to be.
Also, Mikey Madison's character dies here the same way she dies in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. She burns to death.
Oh, wow. So I didn't even connect that was her. Oh,
she's one of the Manson girls. She's the one that dies in the pool, like on fire in the pool.
The flamethrower. Okay. Huh. Fascinating.
So many people asked us, please do a spoiler talk on Fresh. There's so much to go through here, so let's go through it.
What's going on?
I'm going to tell you, but you're going to freak out.
They eat people.
They do. Yes. Yes. We talked around it in the original review, but yeah, Sebastian Stan seems too good to be true, and is, because it turns out he kidnaps young women and methodically slices off parts of them and sells it as meat to very rich creeps who are into the idea of eating human flesh, eating the flesh of young women, and also being sent, like, pictures of them and their bra or locks of their hair or whatever. And it's super fucking creepy.
It is. It's funny because there are movies about creepy underground markets for like extinct animals,
Sure.
to eat or to keep extinct animals. Like the Pirates Band of Misfits is about that, right? They eat.
The Freshman with Matthew Broderick and Marlon Brando.
Oh my gosh. So now we're taking a step further, and it's people.
Yeah.
And I love the line is so funny where they're having their first date, Daisy Edgar Jones and Sebastian Stan, and he's like, "Oh, I don't eat meat." Right? She's going to town on these spare ribs, and he's like, "Oh, I don't eat meat."
Yeah, you wouldn't either. Movies like this were sort of conditioned where there's going to be that sort of Saw moment where there's like the rusty clanking chains and the horrible abattoir, and everything in this movie is so clean and slick, and the house where he does it, is so like cool, and his literal surgical precision as he's doing this. So then her friend has to like come track her down, and that goes badly. We didn't get to talk about, because we were holding back on this, Charlotte LeBon, who plays Sebastian Stan's wife in this movie, is herself an amputee below the knee on one leg, and they never explain that, but you just know that she basically talked him out of going any further with cutting her up, and she basically became part of the operation.
And that she is now in on it because she likes the comfortable suburban life she gets to lead.
Yeah,
right? She's sad but comfortable. Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, she helps out. She helps him cover his tracks and helps him with capturing these women, which is why when she gets her very deserved comeuppance at the end, it's great when the friend says, "Women like you are part of the problem." I forget what the line is, but it's something like that.
But the reveal in the shower is such a shock when she gets undressed to get in the shower and you see she's an amputee. It's like, oh, and they handle that so delicately here. I love the creepy dance, and I love that scene where they have dinner together. They're eating some of the meat together and having their creepy dinner and their dance, because you get the sense that maybe she is trying to make him vulnerable. Maybe she's trying to butter him up to get close enough to kill him, which is what ends up being her plan.
Yeah.
But I got this twinge of like, maybe she likes this. Maybe she thinks it's delicious and she likes the weirdness of it. Did you get that vibe too?
I thought it was interesting that the movie didn't really ultimately answer that question. Like I could see where they would come up with a sequel where it's like, well, now she's got a taste for it,
Right.
So what now? I thought that it could go either way, and it doesn't really tell you. So you're sort of left to decide, is she just stringing him along so that she can lunge at him, or, is along the way, she's like, oh, this is delicious, so we don't know.
And they have so much chemistry that you could believe that it would go in any way. I love Sebastian Stan playing a villain. It's really fun and unusual for him. The house being cool and stylish. I hate when they say the house is a character, but the house is a character because of the vibe it creates and all the little hidden passageways and how they have to learn to navigate that. And all the killing out in the forest is great. And I love how the bartender has to step up, and he's so reluctant. He doesn't want to be a part of it, but eventually he's like, oh my God, I've got to do this. And then he's crucial to them surviving too. So that was cool.
True. But at the same time, he's kind of like, no, he's like, when he's out in the middle of nowhere, he's like, no, this does not end well. It's kind of the opposite of like Laurel Howery showing up at the end of Get Out. You think he's going to come in and rescue them, and he's like, no, I've seen this movie, he even says. So I thought that was all he's threaded through interestingly as well.
We should do a spoiler for Deep Water.
I haven't finished it yet, so please don't tell me what that is.
I won't, but you guys were so great to ask for spoilers. We're definitely going to do more. I think we should do one for Deep Water next.